Good morning. It's old Jesse. I've got I went and did a little bit more business this morning. Went down to the USDA Department of Agriculture, and I also went down to the county ag office. Is the Farm Service Agency. This morning it was raining a little bit, and I didn't want to get out there and cut brush by myself in the rain, and that's just miserable. No point in doing anything miserable. Well, I'm just getting started. Yep. Those two agencies are really good sources of information for anybody. The gals down there were very kind. They kind of pointed me in the right direction, who I needed to talk to and when. It is a lot of information for a beginner. I'm not going to say I make the best choices in the world, but I've got a fair amount of intelligence. But it was a lot of information to try to absorb. And after about 10 minutes, I was a little bit shell-shocked because it was like, whoa, that's a lot of info. So one of the first things I learned is there's about 6 agencies in the state of Florida that you have to go through and get in contact with, and they'll kind of guide you through the system as you go through, because all those agencies talk to each other. But from going from animal to the store, there's about 6 agencies that you've got to deal with, and they all have different regulations and things that you've got to go through, and then you've got to deal with the county and the building permits and everything like that, like I did yesterday. So there's, all told, from a patch of dirt to the storefront, there's between 6 to 8 different agencies you've got to deal with, and so the only way to figure that out for your county is just by jumping in and going down there and asking questions, and that's what I've been doing. I found out today the Department of Agriculture can give me grants or business loans. And when they're talking about a loan, we're not talking it's about some 10% loan. We're talking about like 1.63% or 2% on your money. So, and that's annual. So that's not bad. And that's for pulling a loan out and using somebody else's money. That's a pretty good deal. And if I'll do that, then I can develop the property that I want to develop, and I'll be showing you that property here pretty soon. I plan on clear cutting it all the way to the ground and replanting it with a small orchard, and then fencing it and having a small animal operation, which within a year it should be year or year and a half, it should be solvent and have paid for itself. So that's the end goal is self-solvency for problems, and self-solvency for monetary situation. And they said I've got a pretty good chance of getting what I need. They were kind enough to help me through the system so far. So in a farming operation in Florida, or at least with the Department of Agriculture in the United States. So this is the Department of Agriculture in the United States. To get in the system, you have to have this form. And that is the form that you need for the United States. Okay? To get you in the system. And if you're a poor fella and you've never done farming before, this is the secondary form, okay, to get grants and loans and everything else like that. That's just to get into the system, so that they know that you don't, you're just starting your business and you're not some old rich fella. That's so that you can use the government loans and grants like they're supposed to be used. So somebody in my situation where I don't have a lot of operating cost, I think I've got maybe a couple $1,000s to get this thing started. I can go down there and maybe get a grant for my well, or grant for my fencing, or maybe a loan where they pay for half of that, and I've got to pay for the other half, or whatever. Maybe they'll just give me a grant for half of it, and then I can get a loan for whatever else I need. So to start with, before I even come over here and clear this property, I need to make sure of what I can have available first. So if I can get a grant for some of these things and that I don't have to pay back, well, woohoo! Free money. I can get started with my business. That's a good way to get a young farmer started. And I'm not all that young. I'm a little bit younger than 40, but not 40 yet. So I want to get this started while I'm still don't have too much gray hair, and so I can have a personal solvency in my financial situation. So that's the goal here, and as far as the farming agency, they mostly cover consultation and research on what cultivars or varieties of plants and critters that you want to grow, and what generally does good in the area. So when I get another rain day, and Florida has a lot of them, I will be calling somebody to see if I can go talk to them. And they also have a Master Gardeners program, which I may or may not do. It sounds like a bunch of BS, to be honest with you. I know a lot of the local market gardeners say, "Oh, that's a really great program to get into," but in my situation where I need production now, if I'm not making money in 6 months, I can't do it. That sounds like a real waste of time. Later on, as I go along, that'll be, in a year, maybe I might do something like that and put my time into it to learn something extra. But for right now, what I really need to do is I really need a loan, and I need to clear the land fast and get my fencing up, get my irrigation in, get my well put in, and get some small building facilities so that I can process and sell the eggs to the market. Okay, so that's my goal right now, and in a little bit I'll be posting another video showing the property that I plan on developing into my actual farm, which I call my wife's place. It's not really my wife's place. It's in my name. It's going to be my place, but I'm going to put a little building out there for her and the kids to live in, because she don't want to live with me, and I'll live, down the road, but I'll get a chance to see the kids and everything if I'm over here dealing with the farm. So that's the plan. And so, yeah, I'll show you that, and you'll get to understand why I need a loan to clear this place off. It's thick with palmetto scrub and oak scrub. And when I mean thick, I mean thick. But the good part is if I can get somebody to come in here and clear it, I can turn all that into mulch. Because they'll come in with a mulcher and they'll just mulch everything and put it right on the ground. And that's lots of good carbon for farming. So that's why I need the loan. I want that turned into compost, into mulch going right on the ground. And I want to be able to plant in that and put trees right in it right away, and get ducks out there on it right away and have it irrigated right away. And the poultry is intended to be the paying portion for all the rest of the stuff. So anyway, that's the plan, and I'm going for it. Also, the other thing I bought this morning is I bought me a 3-hole punch for my paperwork, and I bought me a aluminum clipboard and got me a 3-ring binder. Okay. It's one of these right here. And that's because the paperwork down at the ag offices was so complicated, and I basically got handed a book and said, "Here, read this." And I'm sure other small farmers have too. And if anybody is following along with me, you're going to find that you're going to have to do that too. Farming is a self-education business. If you don't plan on self-educating and you don't plan on being smart and treating yourself like you have intellect and that you should study your business, you're not going to make it. That's just how it is. I already know that. It's a working man's business, and it's a man type of business for a man that wants to, or woman that wants to get out there and work and teach themselves. You're not going to get or make it in this business unless you plan on being intelligent. I'm not the smartest guy in the world, and I don't make the greatest decisions in the world all the time. But I will say this: I do expect myself to learn, okay, and I do expect myself to work fairly hard, not all the way hard, but be doing something all the time. Whether it's like today on the rain day where I'm talking to people and doing paperwork, and that's in Florida. That's pretty much the only time you have to plan. So, or when the sun is out, get out there and bust my hump and sweat a little bit, So it's just the way it is. It's going to be at least a 60-hour-a-week job every week. A little bit every day. Get up in the morning, work 3 hours on a Sunday or in a Saturday, and all day long, all week. So that's what I know. I know that's what I'm getting into. And I'm okay with that, provided it pays the bills. If I get into this and I'm not making more than say $5,000 or $6,000 a month, I'm gonna get out. Like, it's not gonna be worth it for me, because I can go pipelining and make that for half the year, and 60 hours a week ought to pay $5,000. That's just how it is, And if you're not making enough, then you're not growing the right thing and you're not doing it right. And so I've kind of looked into the feasibility of what I'm going to do already. I know what I'm going to do. And there's other options. Like, for instance, it's not something I particularly want to do, but a good option for somebody else that has a small piece of land that doesn't want to do a bunch of big ag. You go down to Tractor Supply or somewhere, and you buy a bunch of them little dog cages, and you grow Angora rabbits. If you can get your hand on Angora rabbits, that wool sells for $10 an ounce on eBay. I mean, it's a great small farming operation idea. It's not what I want to do, because I want to do ducks, and I've got reasons for that. Most of them have to do with religious nature. And so I've kind of I've cut some of my really big money making ideas out of my plan in order to simplify things and make them maybe not totally kosher, but a little bit more kosher. Because I don't really want to, when all is said and done, poultry is poultry, and I don't really know if a duck is a clean animal or not, but I think it probably is. It's also a herding type animal. And so for my particular philosophy, I like that better than, trying to eat a rabbit, which is got lots of, they get parasites real bad, and a lot of that stuff crosses over to humans, and they can transfer wasting diseases to humans. And I really don't want to get in a business where I'll have the potential of eating the meat that is not going to be healthy for me. Ducks are a bit of a different story. A lot of the stuff that they get don't transfer to humans. And so even though I'm only going to be doing eggs, I'm sure more than one of them ducks is going to end up on the dinner table when I'm hungry. That's just the way it is. I'm a fat boy and I got to eat. So that's why I'm doing my operation the way I'm doing it. somebody else, there's other really lucrative small animal operations for other people. Quail eggs make really good money too. Um, and even selling pigeon and quail commercially is also a good viable option for a lot of people. And it makes good money. Chickens aren't the only thing that you can do. In fact, the chickens are probably the worst thing that you can do monetary wise. So for a small farming operation, you don't have to copy me. I'm doing what I want to do because it's the way I want to do it. And it matches my area and my territory, and that's my thing. So I've already done the feasibility study on this, and I think it's going to turn out fairly okay. It might not do exactly what I think it's going to do, but if it even does half of what I want to do, or a quarter of what I want to do, I'll be doing enough to make ends meet, and that's what matters to me. And that's just with the duck operation. That's not with any of the plants, vegetables, or anything else that I have, because what I've got intended is this one's going to be a farm, and the other one's going to be a garden for at least for my house, and a small orchard with a variety of trees, so that I get free fruit during the year. So that the one takes care of my personal food bill, and the other one takes care of, family, and retirement and everything else. So that's what I got going on. And so to get that started and get it going quick, I'm gonna have to use my land equity and maybe some retirement account equity to get a loan from the government to get started. Which you have to have some money to get started. So I've got a little bit, and I can get started, and I can also work a part-time job to help get started. And so that's the plan. You got to have money coming in, and you've got to have enough operation funds to get moving. And part of my startup operation funds were buying the properties. This property that's an acre and a half over here for the farming operation, I bought it for $47.50 out the door. Okay? And that is really cheap for ag land. Just for a single acre. You're not really going to find that too many places. The land company that I bought it from lost money on it. Okay? They told me they were losing money on it, and I knew they were losing money on it. The area that I'm buying land in, there's a lot of companies, a lot of companies. Even the property over there on the creek, that land company lost money on it too. So this area is really good for people that want to, get into the business for a couple $1,000s, or maybe want to put $500 down and make a payment and do ag, and do a market garden. It's about an hour drive to all the big towns, but it's right in the middle of all the big towns too. So you got Gainesville, you got Lake City, you can drive to that's a 2-hour drive. You got Jacksonville, St. Augustine, Palm Beach, Daytona Beach, New Smyrna, Ocala's another hour drive. If you want to drive 2 hours, you get to Orlando. So if you have really good buyers that are worth driving and spending the $40 on gas to get there and back, then it's worth driving that far. An hour, it's a $20 delivery fee, for your cost. And that's not including time and everything else. So there's some things where, like, deliveries, that's going to cost you some gas money being an hour away from everything, but it gives you the flexibility of the agricultural community, which is not that far away from a lot of big towns. So I would imagine that just with Jacksonville alone, or even Palatka here, which is 15 minutes from the house, or 15 minutes from where I live, I should be able to market and sell my whatever I produce off of this, and be able to deliver it within a fairly short commute. It's not going to be super far away, but because an hour drive is it's pretty good, but it's not going to be trying to deliver beef cattle 3 hours away to get slaughtered or something, you know. So we got or 3 hours to the auction or whatever, you know. So we got a pretty good area for ag up here, and there is, if I'm not mistaken, there are some auctions in this area within 45-minute drive, for the folks that really do want to do agriculture, bigger than what I want to do. So anyway, that's what I did this morning, and shortly I'll be posting another video up that shows this other property, because right now I'm sitting out in front of it. As you can see, that's what it looks like from the window, and I'll walk around and we'll do another look around and see what this thing looks like video. All right, talk at you later.